You have been told your whole life that you think too much, that you need to relax, that you are making things harder than they need to be. And somewhere along the way, you started to believe it. You started to see your own mind as the problem. But what if everything you have been told about overthinking is wrong? What if the mind that never stops is not broken, but built differently? And what if psychology has known this for a long time and nobody told you? Here is what is actually happening inside the brain of someone who thinks too much. Neuroscientist Marcus Rachel discovered something remarkable while studying brain activity. When people are not focused on any specific task, when they are resting, daydreaming, or simply letting the mind wander, a specific network in the brain becomes highly active. He called it the default mode network. And in people who overthink, this network does not quiet down the way it does in others. It stays switched on. It keeps generating thoughts, scenarios, possibilities, and questions, even when the person desperately wants it to stop. This is not a malfunction. This is a brain that is extraordinarily active at its baseline. A brain that is always working, always processing, always looking for something it has not yet found. The first thing psychology tells us about overthinkers is that they are almost always deep feelers. The connection between intense thinking and intense emotional experience is not a coincidence. Research by psychologist Elaine Aron on highly sensitive people shows that individuals with a more reactive nervous system process both sensory information and emotional information at a significantly deeper level than others. They do not just experience an event, they experience every layer of it. The implications, the memories it triggers, the feelings it stirs, the questions it raises, and because they feel so deeply, they think so deeply. The overthinking is not the root. The depth is. The second thing psychology tells us is that overthinking is almost always tied to a very specific kind of intelligence, one that most people never recognize as intelligence at all. Psychologists call it counterfactual thinking. The ability to mentally simulate alternative outcomes, to ask what if, to run scenarios that have not happened yet, and evaluate their probability. This is not anxiety. This is advanced cognitive modeling. It is the same mental process used by chess grandmasters, strategic planners, writers, and scientists. The difference is that in overthink, this process runs automatically and constantly, applied not just to chessboards, but to every conversation, every decision, every relationship, every possible future. The third thing, and this is the one that most people who overthink have never heard, is that rumination and reflection are not the same thing. Rumination is repetitive, passive, and going nowhere. It is replaying the same thought over and over, without new information, without movement, without resolution. Reflection is active, intentional, and generative. It takes a thought somewhere. It produces insight. Most overthinkers spend their lives being told they ruminate, when what they are actually trying to do is reflect. The problem is not the thinking. The problem is that nobody ever taught them how to direct it. The fourth thing psychology reveals is something deeply counterintuitive. Overthinkers are statistically more likely to make better decisions when given enough time. A study published in the journal Psychological Science found that people who deliberate longer before making a choice tend to make choices that are more aligned with their actual values and long-term well-being. The impulsive decision feels confident. The overthought decision feels uncertain. But certainty and accuracy are not the same thing. The overthinker's hesitation is not weakness. It is the brain doing something that fast thinkers skip entirely, checking the decision against every layer of what actually matters. The fifth thing, and perhaps the most important, is what happens to overthinkers when they finally find the right environment, when they find work that requires depth, when they find people who do not rush them, when they find a creative or intellectual outlet that welcomes their complexity rather than pathologizing it. Remarkable happens. The mind that was a source of suffering becomes a source of extraordinary output. The same neural wiring that kept them awake at night starts producing ideas, solutions, art, and insight that simpler minds cannot access. The overthinking was never the enemy. The mismatch was. So what does this mean for you practically? It means The first step is not to stop thinking. It is to understand what your thinking is actually doing. When a thought loops, ask yourself, honestly, am I ruminating? Or am I trying to reflect on something unresolved? If it is rumination, give it a container. Write it down. Set a time limit. Tell your brain you will return to it. Neuroscience shows that this simple act of externalizing a thought reduces the default mode, networks, compulsive return to it. If it is reflection, give it space. Give it a question to work with, rather than a problem to spiral around. Ask, what is this thought trying to protect me from? What does it actually need? The mind that thinks too much is not your enemy. It is a mind that has never been given the right tools, the right language, or the right permission to be what it actually is. Not a problem to be fixed, a depth to be understood. If this video made something click for you, our last video is waiting. We went deep into the hidden forces behind human behavior and why you may never have been as in control as you thought. Go watch that one next. The link is right there. See you in the next video on Mind Unlocked.